Imagine you're back in 6th grade gym class, standing outside on the playground, feeling the heat emanating upwards from the hot black asphalt. You're anxiously awaiting to be picked for a kickball team. One captain's over there, and the other one is over there. And you're standing in the middle of all the kids, and you're just hoping, praying that today is that magical day that you're not picked last. So you hear, I'll take Barbara, I'll take James, I'll take Madeline, I'll take Jack, I'll take Brian, I'll take Karen. And there you are, standing alone. You shift your gaze from your feet up to the two captains who are staring at you, both saying without a word, I don't want her. This is me. Day after day, week after week, this was me. I didn't have any friends. I was actually picked on. I was even extorted by a boy named John. I had to buy him a pack of grape bubble yum every Friday. Or he would, grape bubble yum every Friday, or he would beat me up. So every Thursday, I would have to ask my dad to take me to Walgreens to buy this pack of gum for me, without revealing the true reason I needed it. And one time, I even stole a pack of gum and got caught. This was how desperate I was as a result of my social exclusion. So exclusion is a problem everywhere, at every age, at home, at work, with friends. What about you? Maybe your coworkers didn't include you in a big project that made your department look good. Or maybe in meetings you feel like what you say doesn't count, doesn't matter, like you're invisible. Or maybe you've been living with your same-sex partner for 20 years and your family pretends like your relationship doesn't exist, like it doesn't count. Exclusion is an invisible disease. Now, there's one definition of exclusion that I really like: the blocking of an entrance. So anyone feeling excluded is silently yelling, "Let me in!" I would like you to think about a time when you felt excluded. What words come to mind? Awful, lonely, sad, mad, unhappy, miserable, depressed? So what was it that made you feel that way? Was it somebody's actions, words, or maybe just how you felt in your environment? So what I would like for you is to understand how you make people feel every single day. And I would like you to possess the mindset and some ideas in creating a culture of inclusion for people in your world. So there are delusions that occur when trying to be more inclusive. And by delusions, I'm referring to like a mistaken idea or belief. So there's something that I call the delusional loop. So the first delusion in this loop is everyone has to love everybody. We don't. We don't have to be best friends, vote the same way, or even like the same musicals. We should not swallow feelings of dislike and conflict, and instead we should honor each other by laughing, singing, crying, yelling, and maybe even screaming with each other without destroying one another. So the next delusion in this loop is everyone has to be happy all the time. So recently, I was stalking my 13-year-old daughter's Instagram feed. This is true. I came across a message from one of her friends. Her friend had posted an inappropriate word that started with the letter F. So my child responded with the same word. I know. Well, this was a deal breaker, okay? Instagram was removed from her phone, and so if my husband and I were concerned about our daughter being happy and satisfied all the time, then we would have retracted that punishment, right? Because she was clearly unhappy with us. So sometimes we have to make difficult decisions and have difficult conversations, but as long as we are respectful, we are upholding inclusion. So the last delusion in this loop is that friendship equals inclusion. So friendship happens organically, between people, and we can include those around us without being best friends. So you see this delusional loop? So sometimes we get caught in this loop, and we don't even know we're in this loop. So we need to break these patterns of delusion in order to prevent the spread of exclusion. Okay, so you're probably asking well, what are you talking about? Well, let's talk about some evidence, okay? So, can the effects of exclusion be measured, be quantified? Is there scientific data that says that exclusion harms us? There is. So, you remember Maslow, hierarchy of needs? So, Matthew Lieberman, a UCLA neuroscientist, he proposed that, well, if you remember his model, he says that physical needs start at the bottom and they go up the ladder towards self-actualization at the top, right? So in this model, social needs sit in the middle, right? So Matthew Lieberman, he says that social needs and feeling hungry activate the similar neural responses in the brain. So really, social needs should be where? There, right? It's very, very powerful. So he actually thinks that Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory is wrong. I know. Okay, so somebody else? Naomi Eisenberger, another leading UCLA neuroscientist, wanted to understand what goes on in the brain when feeling excluded. Okay, so she designed an experiment using a functional MRI machine to scan people's brains during a game called Cyberball. So let me show you Cyberball. So it's a very fancy game, colorful. I know. So there aren't any fancy graphics, customizable characters, or anything fancy. So it's just 3 people throwing a ball. So you are the one on the bottom there with just the hand, okay? So the game goes on, you're tossing the ball to each other, and after a little while, look what happens. Thank you. So after a while, you become isolated. The other 2 users stop throwing you the ball, and you become isolated. So remember, the functional MRI machine is scanning the brains during this time. And what it shows is that in the brain, feeling rejected and feeling excluded activates the same part in the brain as feeling pain. So feeling pain and feeling rejected are similar. So it really says that social exclusion is painful. So exclusion is bad socially, we know that. But exclusion is also really bad for business. MGM Resorts International, a world-renowned hospitality company, intentionally fosters a culture of inclusion among approximately 62,000 employees. Why? Because they realize that it improves the guest experience. And something I learned in one of their diversity trainings is a simple saying from the northern natal tribes of South Africa. And it goes like this: Sawubona. And it literally means I see you, as if to say, I respect and acknowledge you for who you are. I love it. In response, they say, Sikona, which literally means I am here, as if to say, when you see me, you bring me into existence. We're going to practice. Are you ready? This is exciting. I'm going to say Sawubona, and you're going to say Sikona. Got it? All right. Sawubona. Sikona. That's pretty good. Let's do it again. Sawubona. Sikona. That was fantastic. So, when was the last time you were really seen? When was the last time you saw one of your coworkers? Or your daughter? Or your husband? Or your sister? Or your significant other? So when people feel seen, they're more engaged, and they're happier, and they're more productive. So, do you remember Invisible Me on the playground? Well, Invisible Me eventually went to high school. So a couple months into high school, I found out about the girls' soccer team, and I tried out. And guess what? I made it. But there's more. But guess what? I got to wear a uniform and be part of a team. Oh, but there's more. But guess what? I didn't even care if I played. I just wanted to sit on the bench with the other girls and be seen and feel like I belonged. And guess what? I wasn't invisible anymore. So I promised you some ideas for creating a culture of inclusion. The first one is my favorite. It's listen with intent. Listen with intent. Put down your phone, even if it requires medication. Look up. Be present. So when we're talking to somebody, we're like chomping at the bit for them to finish because we want to tell our story, right? You went to Paris, I went there twice. You were sick, I was sicker. Your dog needs knee surgery. My sister's neighbor's dog had surgery on both knees. So listen with no intent of responding. It behooves us to be present. So we have listening with intent. How about meaning what you say? Okay, how many times a day do you say to somebody, hi, how are you? And you keep walking? I mean, it's just gone. I recently took a week, this is a true statement. I recently took a week and counted the number of times people said to me, hi, how are you? I counted 9 times in one day. Okay, that was the average. So did any of those 9 people want to know how I was? That would be no. Well, I don't know, but they didn't stick around for an answer, so I don't really think so. So see people, and like my friends in Africa, bring people into existence. So the third idea is be genuinely interested in other people. Okay, Dale Carnegie's 4th principle for enhancing communications. My dad had this gift. When he would ask people questions about their career, their life, their family, his eyes would actually shine when asking them questions. And they would even shine more, even brighter, when listening to their responses. My dad also taught me how to give a genuine compliment. A compliment has to be random and sincere. And the only way to give a good compliment is you have to be paying attention. If you're not paying attention, how can you give a compliment, right? Okay, so we have listening with intent, meaning what you say, being genuinely interested in other people, and the fourth one is making people feel like they belong and are simultaneously unique. Okay, I've got to do this for like 24 years because I've been teaching English as a second language, again, since 1994. And I teach people English to be able to be more confident in their careers, improve their jobs in their careers, and help them be more confident, more connected, and more included. I'd like to tell you about Zoran, one of my students, back in 1995. He was a casino porter, like a janitor, at Caesar's Palace. So one of my friends from Chicago came into town, and we were walking through Caesar's Palace, and she's like looking at all the Roman statues and the clanking of the slot machines, and all of a sudden she hears me yell, Zoran, dobar dan, kako si? That means good afternoon, how are you, in Bosnian language. So we walk over, talk to Zoran for a couple of minutes, and we're chit-chatting, and then we go away, and about 10 minutes later she said to me, Ronna, I didn't even notice Zoran. He was kind of like invisible to me. So exclusion isn't always seen, but it's felt. Exclusion is an invisible disease. But what I didn't tell you yet is as I was walking away from Zoran, I looked over at he was standing like 2 inches taller with a big grin on his face. how do you think that impacted him the rest of his workday? And how do you think that impacted him at home when he got home with his friends and family that night? You see, if we just take 30 seconds out of our day to acknowledge, compliment, or include someone, that alone can ripple and affect so many more people. So I'd like us to make a commitment today, all 100 of us, make a commitment today to, I talked about those 9 people earlier that said, hi, how are you, and kept walking. How about the next 9 people that you see? The next 9 people that you see, you bring them into existence in some way. Maybe you're listening with intent. Maybe you're meaning what you say. Maybe you're being genuinely interested in what they say. Maybe you're making them feel like they belong and are simultaneously unique. So I believe that if you did this, every single one of you did that to the next 9 people, we could change the world. One sawabona, one compliment at a time. And in closing, I want to leave you with one more sawabona. Are you guys ready? All right, sawabona.